Hello everybody, this is AG here, and welcome to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's the second day of action here for Indy 250 Week 2022, and today it is single car qualifications for next week's Indianapolis 250. Today is a massive day in terms of the big race, because today we'll be determining the 9 drivers who will be going for the pole tomorrow, and then the 9 drivers who will have to go out again and face elimination from the Indianapolis 250. 36 entries into the field as always, and 33 will make the big race next Saturday. So it's all or nothing for the one lap that all 36 of these drivers will have here today. It's pretty straightforward and simple. The fourth year that we have done the single car qualifying setup for the Indianapolis 250. All 36 drivers will go out today and record one lap. The fastest 9 go for the pole tomorrow. The slowest 9 have to do it again to avoid elimination. Qualifying order was determined by the practice results from yesterday, so the slowest driver from practice yesterday will go out first, and it will go on through the order until we get to the fastest driver in practice. And as you see on your screen right there, the qualifying order will begin with Calib Rose in the number 55. He'll be the first driver out on the racetrack here in single car qualifications. And then it'll be Eric Monaco, Gary Carelli, Zack Winkle, Thomas Troxell, Ace Garcia, Richard Kinghart, Cole Raymond, Landon Smith Jr., John Andrews, Keith Kent, Angel Olvera, Noah Clifton, Will Parrish, Nathan Faden, Elijah Gordon, Brian Rodriguez, Max Anderson, Logan Williams, Justin Zajdel, Ethan Lewis, Roy Ribbleton, Colin Cropley, Reggie Fogleman, Jay Knapp, Chris Reynolds, Igor Barreto, Brandon Nelson, Trey Smith, Scott Upton, Joey Hightower, Jesse Turner, Brock Nelson, Nicholas Samedillo, Zachary Fitzwater, and Brennan Wilmington. That is also in the description below, so if you want to know where you're going to be, just figure it out in the description. That's where it'll be for your reference throughout the entire day. It's never going to go away. But we are ready to get this all started. One lap for every driver. The weather conditions will be identical for each driver. 77 degrees, a northeast wind at 8 miles per hour. And as you can see, a nice sunny day here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. With the sun being out, the times might be a little bit slower than they have been in past years. But the track's going to be a little bit more slick, which means the ability for these drivers to make mistakes is a little bit more great. We'll have to see how all these drivers do here in this single car qualifying session. Well, we won't waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get started here. Let's see who makes the fast 9 in the last 9, and we'll also be determining the starting positions from 10th to 26th for the Indianapolis 250 day for those who meet in the middle there and do not go fast or slow here today. Let's go ahead and get started. Calib Rose, the first driver out on the racetrack here for single car qualifications. Let's get this party started here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And here we go. We're ready to get this party started, just as I said a minute ago, and it will be started with Calib Rose in the number 55 machine. He's the only driver in this field who has not raced in the Indianapolis 250, but has still attempted an Indy 250 before. He was attempting this race last year. He failed to qualify a year ago. He does not want that to happen to him again here today, but either way, you're going to see the speed right there at the top center of your screen. That will be a very determining factor to how well these guys run here today. We will see how it compares as the day goes on, but with Calib Rose, we really don't know what to expect and how fast these times will be. But Calib Rose on his fast lap, entering turn 1 at 221 miles per hour. That's a pretty fast speed right there for the driver of the number 55. And then exiting the back end of the racetrack off of turn 2 is a low of 208. And as the day goes on, we will see how that compares to other drivers. It looks like you're going to be going a little bit faster heading into turn number 1. It was 218 and a maximum heading into turn number 3. A minimum of 210 off of turn number 3, and then through turn number 4, he's going to minimize at 209. Coming across to complete his lap here in single car qualifications, Calib Rose is going to go to A40 2.1625. So we'll have to see how that shakes up with the rest of the field. Next driver out, Eric Monaco in the number 37. Here we go for the second driver in line, number 37 of Eric Monaco. And he's looking to attempt his second Indianapolis 250. Ran in this race in 2018. The last time he was in this event, and he finished 11th that day. So we'll have to see if he can better that this year. Of course, first he has to qualify his way in. We had a 41.625 out of Calib Rose for his first lap. So we'll have to see where Eric Monaco falls in line with that one. I do know Calib Rose was reaching 221 heading in the turn number 1 on his fast lap here. So we will have to see what Monaco can do as he comes across the line. And across the line he will be at 218. And he's only going to max out at 220. So this may not be as fast as Calib Rose. Minimum of 210 off of turn number 1. There's a minimum of 208 for Calib Rose. It's going to be a minimum of 206 there for Eric Monaco. So I do believe that this time is going to be slower than Calib Rose, which is a good sign for the driver who failed to qualify last year in Calib Rose. If Monaco is going to be significantly slower here than the number 55, then there's a good chance that Calib Rose will make the show for this year's Indianapolis 250. But Eric Monaco there, minimum of 208 off the corner. And across the line, I do anticipate this being a little bit slower than what the 55 ran. It's going to be a 41.919, so about 0.3 of a second off the fastest time so far. So those two drivers have gone out. Let's go ahead and get to our third driver, and the first-timer running in this qualifying session, Gary Carelei in the number 21. And like I mentioned, the first of our first-timers here for this Indianapolis 250, Gary Carelei, looking to make his first career start on the channel next Saturday in the Indianapolis 250. First, he has to qualify. Driving for Crown Ultra Racing, Roberto Crown Jr.'s team. First, Roberto Crown Jr., I do believe, was in this race at some point. I believe they attempted to qualify last year. I can't remember if they actually did qualify. But they're an owner now, just for this Indianapolis 250. So we'll have to see what their driver Gary Carelei can do, looking to make his first ever start. So 2:21 heading into turn number 1 appears to be a relatively good time. Monaco was 2:18 across the line. Carelei's going to be 2:21 across the line. 2:23 heading into turn number 1. And this year, I do believe we're going to see a little bit more of a discrepancy between the fastest and the slowest drivers. It's a little bit wider of a range in the ratings this year. A 25-point range for all the attributes except for aggression. And because of that, we're going to really see a difference in speed between the fastest and slowest guys here in qualifying. 2:19. They are in the turn number 3. And I think as we go along, this is going to be a time that will stand, may even be enough for the Fast 9. We'll have to see how it goes, but a minimum of 2:11 exiting turn 4. Gary Carelei will cross the line at a 41.386. Top of the board for the first timer of Gary Carelei in the number 21. Zack Winkle, next driver out on the racetrack, and this is a first race for this new team under new ownership, Thal Motorsports. Zack Winkle driving the number 28 Coca-Cola scheme now. But Zack Winkle has been running this season, so he's been accustomed to the car, he's been getting used to the car. But now the whole team is heading into the biggest race of the season. But this is going to be Winkle's second Indianapolis 250. He was in this race 2 years ago and finished 19th last time Nicholas Amedeo went to victory lane. Nicholas Amedeo has the same sponsor heading into this race. Little fun fact right there. We'll have to see what Winkle does across the line. Carelei was 2:21 across the yard of bricks right there. Zack Winkle is going to be 2:20 across the line. I don't think this is quite going to be as fast as Carelei's time, but 2:22 heading into turn number 1. That's a solid time right there, a solid speed. 2:12 off the exit of turn number 1. And then off the exit of 2, a minimum of 2:08. I'm feeling like this is going to be in between Carelei's and Rose's time right here, so this should be good for second as of right now. 2:11 as a minimum off of turn number 3. And then coming across the line, minimum of 210, just barely hit 210 right there off the exit of turn number 4. Zack Winkle in the number 28 will cross the line, 41.464. That's going to be good enough for second fastest here in Indy 250 qualifying. Next driver in line, one of the most experienced drivers we have had so far here today, Thomas Troxell, who has finished second in this race before. That came in 2020. Right behind Nicholas Samedeo, but Thomas Troxell, definitely a driver to watch out for this season in the Haas IndyCar Series and in this Indianapolis 250. I expect big things out of the driver of the number 67. And he's driving for Davey Johnson, who has consistently been one of the faster guys during Indy 250 week in the past. So, have to see what Troxell can do. This is going to be Troxell's 4th Indy 250 if he qualifies, of course. We'll have to see what he does across the line right here. He's going to be 219 across the line. He's going to be a maximum of 221. This is looking more like Calib Rose's time right here. Going to be minimum of 212 off of the exit of turn number 1. And the slowest exit is the exit of turn number 2, 207 minimum for Thomas Troxell as he heads down the backstretch. Going to max out here at 217, but he held it for quite a while right there, so that was a long 217. A minimum of 210 right there. He held a little bit longer there than Zack Winkle. And off the exit of turn number 1, he'll stay at 210 as he comes across the line. The lap time for Thomas Troxell will be a 41.640. That's just below Calib Rose, puts him in 4th. We'll have to see how that stands as we go throughout the day. Next driver in line, another longtime veteran, Ace Garcia in the number 32. Ace Garcia, next driver in line, the 6th driver out here today in Indy 250 qualifying. And Ace Garcia has been in many of these events before. This is going to be his 5th, assuming he qualifies here today. The best finish of 9th in 2018. And we saw the time there out of Thomas Troxell of 41.640. But that is still much faster than what Eric Monaco put down at a 41.919. That does not look like a good time there for Eric Monaco in the number 37. So we'll have to see where he ends up falling with the rest of these drivers here. Garcia's going to cross the line 220, and he's going to max out at 222, and he held it for quite a while, so this is going to be one of the faster laps we have seen so far. Minimum of 212. He barely hit 212 off of the exit of turn 1. And off the exit of turn 2, the slowest corner, he's just going to barely hit 208. So this is going to be one of the faster times. I have a feeling this may be between Carelli and Winkle. Gonna max out at 218. He held it for quite some time there entering turn number 3. And a minimum of 211 off the exit of turn number 3. Barely going to hit 210. This will be a fast lap here for Ace Garcia. Should be good enough to put him in the show for the Indianapolis 250 this year. Across the line, it's going to be a 41.479. That is 3rd quickest overall here in Indy 250 qualifications. Richard Kinghart, the first driver out today who has won a race this season in the Haas IndyCar Series. Won at Willow Springs about a month ago. That was a road course, completely different racetrack than what we have here today, even though the two racetracks have the same exact length at 2.5 miles. But Richard Kinghart, going to be his second Indianapolis 250. Finished 10th in this race in 2019, 3 years ago. And we'll have to see how well he fares along with the rest of these drivers. It's going to be interesting to see as we go out throughout the day how many drivers have as slow of a time as Monaco does, because Monaco's time is definitely an outlier to everybody else who is around the 3 to 6 range there in terms of attempts after 41 seconds. Kinghart's going to be 219 across the line. He's going to be 221 entering turn number 1. And a minimum of 211 off the exit of turn number 1 right there. Oh, he's going to really be slow here off the corner. 207. He almost hit 206 there, but he's going to keep it at 207 off the exit. This is looking like it may be around Thomas Troxell, Calib Rose here. Richard Kinghart in the number 97. And lots of times you can tell right as they enter turn number 1 right there. That's the fastest point of the entire lap, is the entry into turn 1. Minimum of 209 off the exit of turn number 4. This might be just below Troxell's time, 41.757, and it is right below Troxell's time there, so he's going to be 6th of 7th in terms of the 7 drivers who have gone out so far here in Indy 250 qualifying. Cole Raymond, next driver in line here in Indy 250 qualifying, had a very good outing at the Grand Prix last week. Finished 2nd on the road course for his best ever finish on the channel. We'll have to see what he can do in his attempt for his first ever Indianapolis 250. Driving for Nathan Orman Motorsports right here in the number 95. Of all the drivers who are true rookies to the channel running full-time this season, he is 2nd best, just behind Brian Rodriguez in points. But none of the true rookies have won a race yet this year in the Haas IndyCar Series. Will it happen this year? Very good opportunity. We have a lot of guys who are running in their first ever Indy 250s this weekend. This coming weekend. Next weekend. 219 across the line there for Cole Raymond. He's going to be 221 entering the corner, and very similar to Kinghart's time right here, I do believe. Didn't hold 211 for quite as long, but he's going to be a bit slower there off the exit of turn number 2. This might be just a tad bit faster than Kinghart was. I'm feeling this is going to be in between Troxell and Kinghart. 217 entering the corner right there. This isn't quite as fast as the fastest time you've seen out of Gary Carelli in the number 21 so far, but the number 95 of Cole Raymond's going to hold a pretty steady wheel off the exit of turn 4. Minimum of 209 across the line. He's going to be a 41.706. That will be right in between Troxell and Kinghart, and it'll be 6th quickest of the 8 drivers so far here in Indy 250 qualifying. Landon Smith Jr., next driver on the racetrack. Last year's Freedom 50 champion. Of course, looking like that may be the last ever Freedom 50 that we do. But Landon Smith Jr. and the fastest guy in practice yesterday were 1-2 in that race. Landon Smith Jr., though, was the race winner a year ago in the Freedom 50. And that could be a very good omen for him in this race, especially considering, like I mentioned, the range in the ratings there being a little wider. Because of that, we may see a race play out a little bit closer to how the Freedom 50 was a year ago, where it was difficult to make the moves for the race lead. 2:22 heading into turn number 1. That's a solid time right there for Landon Smith Jr. and his attempt to make it into the Indianapolis 250 for the first ever time in his career. Held 208, though, for quite a while off the exit of turn number 2. It's actually a pretty solid time there. Did not hit 207. He is going to hit 218 there as he goes into turn number 3. And a minimum of 211 off the exit of turn 3. This could very well be the 2nd fastest time that we have seen so far. Minimum of 210 off of the exit of turn number 4, and across the line, Landon Smith Jr. is going to be a 41.555. So that's going to be 4th quickest overall there. Right in the middle, that should lock a spot into the biggest race of the season for Landon Smith Jr. and American Motorsports. Next driver in line, another longtime veteran to this race, John Andrews in the number 75. This is going to be Andrews' 5th Indy 250, assuming he qualifies his way in. And he has a best finish of 6th in this race in 2020, so John Andrews knows what he's doing, driving for Otter Island Motorsports, another team that knows what they're doing, at least in terms of the Haas IndyCar Series when they won the championship with Chase Harris 2 years ago, but they've never won this race before. We'll have to see what they can do here with the number 75. Of course, they had the fastest car with Brendan Wilmington. We'll have to see what John Andrews can do. A long-time experienced veteran as he begins his fast lap across the line. He's going to be 220. He's going to hit 221. He's going to hit 222, and he held that for quite a while as well. This may be the 2nd fastest time. I don't know if it's going to quite beat Carelli's time, but John Andrews is looking very sporty out there in the number 75, minimum of 208, and he didn't hold it for too long off the exit of turn 2. And the 75 looking very fast. He may hit 219 into the corner. He held 218 for a long time, though. This is going to be a really good time out of John Andrews. 214, 213 now as he's going to minimize at 210, but just barely off the exit of turn number 4. And across the line, John Andrews is going to go to a 41.447. That is second quickest overall here in Indy 250 qualifying. And I think it's safe to say that John Andrews will be in the show. Gary Carelli, on the other hand, has clinched a spot in this year's Indianapolis 250. Keith Kent is the next driver in line. Like Gary Carelli, looking to attempt and run in his first ever race on the channel. And of course, Gary Carelli already clinched into the Indianapolis 250, as he will have a faster time to at least lock in a 26th overall time. If everybody after Gary Carelli goes faster, then Gary Carelli will be 26th, which will still put him in the Indianapolis 250. Keith Kent in the number 33. Going to be teammates to Nicholas Samadio and Ace Garcia. Ace Garcia clocking in 4th. Keith Kent, however, only 2:18 across the line, and he only maxed out at 2:20 for a little bit, entering turn number 1. So this is going to be one of the slower times that we have seen so far. Not like the other two Indy 250 only drivers who have gone out already. As a matter of fact, the two drivers who are Indy 250 only drivers coming into this event are top two right now, with Gary Carelli and John Andrews, and it's only 2:16 entering turn number 3 for Keith Kent. This looks like it may be one of the slower times that we have seen. This might be more on par with Eric Monaco's time. 2:09 is a minimum off the exit at turn number 4. And across the line, Keith Kent is going to go 41.799. That is going to be below Richard Kinghart there in 10th. The 10th quickest time we have had so far there out of 11 drivers there for Keith Kent. Not too good of a time. We'll have to see if he can manage his way into the top 26. Angel Olvera, the next driver in line here, driving the number 25 for Wisconsin Speedworks. And Olvera has already won a race this season at Lime Rock Park. As a matter of fact, the only two wins he has in the Haas IndyCar Series have come at Lime Rock Park. His best finish in this race, however, the last time he ran it was 26th. In 2019 is the last time Olvera was in the Indianapolis 250. We'll have to see what the 25 can do right here. We saw Keith Kent there at a 41.799. We'll just end up having to see where the line is drawn for the last 9 here, but it's not looking good for Eric Monaco. It's looking like Monaco may have to do it again tomorrow to avoid elimination. 2:20 across the line for Olvera. This is going to be a much better time than Keith Kent's time. 2:22 heading in the turn number 1. This is looking like a time that might be right down the middle, but right down the middle at this point in the session should be good enough to advance on to the Indy 250. Down the backstretch, Olvera goes. He's going to clock in 2:17. Will he hit 2:18? He will. That's a good sign right there. He wasn't in it as long as Andrews was. I have a feeling this may be somewhere in between Ace Garcia and Landon Smith Jr. That might be a good target for Olvera's time right here. Minimum of 2:10 off the exit at turn number 4. And across the line, Angel Olvera, the 12th driver to complete a lap. We're a third of the way through, and it's a 41.541. I was right in between Ace Garcia and Landon Smith Jr. there. 5th overall of 12 drivers to go out so far here in the Indianapolis 250 qualifying session. Noah Clifton, the 13th driver here in Indy 250 single car qualifying. Noah Clifton, another longtime veteran. As a matter of fact, if he qualifies, he will be the second most experienced driver in this race, only behind Nicholas Samadio. It's going to be Clifton's 6th Indy 250 if he advances on. And he's done very well the past 2 years in this race. 5th in 2020. 6th last year. We'll have to see if he gets another top 5 or maybe even a win. But first of all, it's down to this single lap right here. And if he can make it into the fast 9, or if he's slow enough for the last 9. Clifton's going to come across the line. 2:19. He's going to hit 2:20. He is going to hit 2:21. He's going to hold it for a little while, but not in the 2:22 range. So this may be more around Calib Rose's time in the number 55, but it should be. He's going to hit 2:07 off the corner right there. It should be a decent time for Clifton, the way it's looking right now. But down the backstretch, Clifton goes. He's going to hit 2:17, entering turn number 3. And that is a good enough time right there, I do believe, for him to at least stay above the green line currently. The slowest speed off the exit of turn number 4 will be 2:10, so this should be a solid time overall. Noah Clifton's going to be a 41.640. He ties Thomas Troxell. And the tiebreaker will be set by practice speeds. So, actually, my apologies, not practice speeds. The tiebreaker will be set by points, as it would be with any other session. So Clifton does hold it on Troxell right there, but I don't think it's going to come down to a last 9 run for either of those drivers. Noah Clifton tied 8th with Thomas Troxell. Next driver in line, Will Parrish in the number 51. Yet another Indy 250 only attempt right here. But if Parrish qualifies, it'll be his second running of this race. He finished 11th last year in this great event. We'll have to see what he does on Roberto Crown Jr.'s team, Crown Ultra Racing. Of course, his teammate, Gary Carelli, currently holds the fastest time of 41.386 for Carelli. We'll have to see how well Will Parrish can match that here during his run as he comes across the outer bricks for his fast lap. Going to be barely 220 as he crosses the line. He's going to hit 221, and he did hit 222 for a split second right there. This might not be as fast as Carelli's time, but Will Parrish may very well clinch his spot into the Indy 250 here today. Minimum of 207 off of turn number 3. It's a little bit slower than what we have seen out of some guys so far here today. Gonna barely hit 218, however, heading into turn number 3, so this should be one of the faster times that we have seen. I envision this one being just around Ace Garcia, Zack Winkle's time. Gonna be 210 off the exit of turn number 4, and Will Parrish coming across the line for the number 51 will be 41.595. I was a little bit off right there. That's 7th overall, but that is right in the middle of all these drivers. Of 14 drivers who have gone out, Will Parrish is still in the top half. So Will Parrish looking pretty good to advance on to the Indianapolis 250 for 2022. Nathan Faden, next driver in line, already out on the racetrack here in the 00. He's going to be 207 here off the exit of turn number 1, coming for his fast lap. Of course, Nathan Faden has been in this race twice before, with a best finish of 20th in 2019. 212 off the exit of turn number 1. Off the exit of turn 2, he's going to barely hit 207, but it's looking like this is a bit of a faster time for the 00 of Nathan Faden. Of course, Faden would love to get into this race and have a good shot at this championship as well, as he comes in second in points behind Zachary Fitzwater. 210 off the exit of turn number 3. Let's see what the exit of turn at number 4 is. It's going to just barely hit 209, so a little bit of a slower time. This might be around Calib Rose, Thomas Troxell, Noah Clifton right here, but Faden across the line going to go at a 41.676, just below Noah Clifton, 11th quickest for Nathan Faden here in Indy 250 qualifications. The 16th driver to go out on the racetrack. This is Elijah Gordon, who won the Grand Prix of Indianapolis last week on the road course. He's not found much success outside of that and his win at Richmond. Those are his only 2 top 10s of the season coming into this event. However, Elijah Gordon has found success in this race before, including the first ever running of this race in 2015, 7 years ago. When Elijah Gordon finished 4th, and then the next year in 2016 he finished 6th in this race. If Elijah Gordon qualifies, it'll be his 5th Indianapolis 250. Definitely excited to see what Elijah Gordon can do, hoping he qualifies his way in here. 220 across the line, 221, he's going to hit 222, so that's good enough to make it into the show. The question is, will he have a fast enough time to make it into the Fast 9 and go for the pole? Elijah Gordon, as far as I know, is the only driver attempting to qualify for this race who ran the first ever Indy 250, which is actually the Indy 200 at the time in 2015. A long time in 218 there for Elijah Gordon. So that's good right there. A lot of speed carried into turn number 3 for him. And off the exit of turn number 1, he's just going to minimize at 2:10, so this will be a fast time for the NS Racing driver of Elijah Gordon, who has got a lot of momentum coming into this race. Across the line, 2:21 at a 41.487. That is 5th quickest overall. We'll have to see. That may be fast enough for the Fast 9. But either way, Elijah Gordon will be in this year's Indianapolis 250. We know that for a fact, as he has more than 9 guys below him at this point in qualifications. 17th driver out on the racetrack here for single car qualifications. It is Brian Rodriguez in the number 13 for Wisconsin Speedworks. His teammate Angel Olvera, 6th quickest at a 41.541. Rodriguez, of all the true rookies running full-time this season in the Haas IndyCar Series, is highest in the points standing. So it's been a very excellent season for Rodriguez here in the Haas IndyCar Series 2022. We'll have to see what he can do. Looking to make his first ever Indianapolis 250. Right now, the line is marked at 41.625. That is for the Fast 9. And once we hit 27 drivers, that is when we will reach the red line. And that is obviously where you don't want to be, is below that red line. Brian Rodriguez looking a little sporty right here, but he's going to barely hit 207 right there. It's going to be another one of those mid-range times. I think most of these times are going to be kind of in the middle. Gary Carelli, Eric Monaco, kind of opposite ends of the spectrum so far, but everyone else is kind of right there in the middle between 4s and 7s. But either way, Rodriguez here in the number 13 machine, coming across the line, is going to probably hold on to a good time. He did not hit 209 off the exit of turn 4, so this will probably be right down the middle for Rodriguez across the line. It's going to be a 41.6 even. And that will put him 9th overall of 17 drivers here in Indy 250 qualifications. And the number 57 will complete the first half of drivers going out here in Indy 250 qualifications on Saturday. Max Anderson will be an Indy 250 only driver this year. He's won a race in this series before, however, at Canadian Tire. That's his only career win on the channel. And if Anderson qualifies, it'll be his 5th Indy 250, but he only has a best finish of 11th in this race all the way back in 2017, so Max Anderson would love to turn all that around next weekend and get the race victory here. The greatest race on the channel. Across the line, 219. He's going to enter turn number 1, 221, just barely. It's going to be one of the slower times, I do believe. He minimized at 211 off the exit of turn number 1. And he's going to minimize 207, and he held 207 for a little bit right there in the number 57 machine. So this might not be one of the fastest times. I would like to mention something. It's 10th through 27th who locked their spots in. So if you're 27th quickest, you're in the Indianapolis 250. I said 26th earlier. I was wrong about that. I think I've made that mistake before. Off the exit of turn number 4, he hit 209 for just a little bit right there. This is going to be a bit slower. I'm looking around maybe Cole Raymond time. In between Cole Raymond and Richard Kinghart, 41.684. Just above Cole Raymond right there in the 14th overall position. So he has 4 guys below him. He needs 5 more guys to be below him to avoid the last 9. We'll have to see how he holds out here in these final 18 drivers. Here we go as we start the second half of Indy 250 qualifying here on Saturday. This is Logan Williams, last year's runner-up in the Indianapolis 250. It'll be his second start if he qualifies. This number 18 team definitely excited to see what they can do in this year's big event. Ethan Lewis is the teammate to Logan Williams. He's going to be coming up in just a couple of times here. And he won last year's Indianapolis 250, so this team has the top 2 finishers from last year's race. But first, they have to qualify their way in. Logan Williams going to start his flying lap here. 208 off the exit of turn number 4 as he comes across the yard of bricks. He's going to maximize across the line at 220, just barely. Going to hit 221, and he's going to hold 221 for a while, but he does not hit 222. Off the exit at turn number 2, this is the slowest corner here for these drivers. He's going to barely hit 207. This might be a bit faster than Anderson's time. I'm looking maybe right around Troxell Clifton right there, the 640 range. So I don't believe this is going to be fast enough for the Fast 9 currently, but it should lock him into the race. 210 off the corner, does not hit 209. So that's a good sign there for Logan Williams as he comes across the line. His fast lap going to be a 41.607. That is 10th overall. However, that clinches a spot into the Indianapolis 250 for last year's runner-up in Logan Williams. The 2019 Haas IndyCar Series champion, Justin Zajdel, the next driver in line here to qualify from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Do believe last year he was a last 9 driver, so we'll have to see if he can find his way into the Fast 9 this year, possibly. This is going to be Zajdel's 5th Indianapolis 250 if he qualifies, a best finish of 4th in this race in 2020. So we'll have to see what he can do here in the number 5 machine for Mobile One Grattan Autosport. His teammate Noah Clifton clocked in at a 6:40. You may notice earlier on when Clifton clocked in his time, he went above Troxell initially. I forgot what I said. Troxell's ahead of Clifton in points. Zajdel's going to come across the line right here. He's going to be 219 across the line. Going to hit 221 for a little bit, but this is not going to be a Fast 9 time. That is for sure. This is probably going to be more along where Max Anderson was. So it's going to be right on the bubble, I think, of making it in and clinching the spot here today. And Zajdel's going to try here as he heads into turn number 3. Oh boy, that wasn't too good right there. Barely hit 217. We've seen some guys hit 218 into that corner so far today. So this time definitely could have been better for Justin Zajdel in number 5. He hit 209 off the exit of turn number 4. So across the line, Justin Zajdel, and maybe another last 9 for him. Across the line, 41.689. Just under Max Anderson. That's good for Max Anderson. That may be right on the bubble to making into that last 9 shootout, and that is not what you want. So we'll have to see how it all goes down later on in this session for Justin Zajdel. And here he is, the defending Indianapolis 250 champion. Ethan Lewis led 1 lap last year in the Indy 250, but went home to take home the biggest win, and so far the only win of his career on the channel. He's looking to do it again this year in the Haas IndyCar Series, driving the number 11 for Perez Racing. His teammate Logan Williams went out there with a 6:07. We'll have to see how well Ethan Lewis can do in defending his Indianapolis 250 title. Across the line, he's going to be 220 before he hits the line. He's going to hit 222, entering turn number 1. This is definitely one of the faster times that we have seen so far here today. Off the exit of turn number 2 is another major mark right here. It was 208 for quite a bit, but did not hit 207, so he's got a lot of speed there heading down the backstretch. Heading down into turn number 3, he's going to hit 218. He's going to hold it for quite a while. I think this is going to go top 9, at least currently. It'll push Brian Rodriguez outside the Fast 9. But Ethan Lewis should clinch his spot into the Indianapolis 250 here today. So across the line, Ethan Lewis going to be a 41.518. That's going to go 6th quickest overall there for the defending Indy 250 champion. Next driver in line here, Indy 250 only driver once again for Dracoan Racing Enterprises, and his first ever attempt at a race here on the channel, Roy Ribbleton in the number 53. Don't know exactly what to expect out of this driver. I mean, the first timers have been all over the place. Gary Carelli is fastest right now, and then you got Keith Kent, who is at the very bottom of the 4 drivers who will be attempting their first ever start on the channel. Carelli and Kent there are 1st and 20th after 21 drivers. So we'll have to see where Ribbleton falls in with those drivers. And right after Ribbleton here, it is Colin Cropley, the other driver looking to make their first ever start on the channel. 219 across the line for Ribbleton. Going to hit 221 entering turn number 1. This is looking like a pretty solid time for the 53. I don't think it's going to be a Fast 9 time, but I don't think it's going to be a Last 9 time either. So this is probably going to be right down the middle. 207 off the exit of turn 2. And Roy Ribbleton looking to start in his first ever race on the channel in this GoDaddy machine. Looks like he might have a good opportunity of possibly doing so, but he did have to check up a little bit there, heading into turn number 3. So a little bit slow off the corner there. That's going to slow him down in turn number 4. He hit 209 there for a little bit. I don't know, this may not quite be enough. We'll have to see. Across the line, 41.674. That is just above Nathan Faden in 15th, so he hasn't clinched it yet, but he does have 7 drivers below him. That's going to clinch Thomas Troxell into the Indianapolis 250, however, so Troxell will be in this year's event. Ribbleton probably will be, but you never know. We'll have to see how it all goes down. Next driver in line, Colin Cropley in number 35. Here's the 23rd driver to head out onto the racetrack here today in Indy 250 qualifying. Colin Cropley in the number 35. Looking to make his first ever start on the channel. And we'll just have to see what he can do in this 35 machine for Wisconsin Speedworks. Brian Rodriguez and Angel Olvera. They were both pretty good. They're both currently 7th and 10th. Or 10th and 7th respectively, I should say. So we'll have to see if this 35 can clock in a similar time for Andrew Williams' team right here. But either way, see what he does across the line here. Barely hit 207 off the exit of the corner. That's going to carry some good speed heading down to the yard of bricks. And it's picking up fairly well there across the line. 220. He's going to max out at 222 entering turn number 1. So it's looking pretty good for Colin Cropley. I'm not sure if this will be a fast 9 time. Right now, the mark is 5.95, set by Will Parrish for that fast 9. So we'll have to see how well he does. But this should be good enough to make it into the show for the Indianapolis 250 this year for Colin Cropley. So that's really going to make it interesting for guys like Justin Zajdel and Max Anderson. They're right there on that bubble, and that may be right where the bubble is for the last 9 once we get to it later on in the day. Colin Cropley will minimize at 210 off the exit of turn number 4. And across the line, Colin Cropley is going to go 41.523. That's a good time right there. That's 7th quickest. It may not be good enough to hold the fast 9, but Colin Cropley will definitely be in the show for this year's Indianapolis 250. We have another first-timer here, but he has made a few starts this season in the Haas IndyCar Series. Reggie Fogleman in the number 24 for Nathan Orban Motorsports. His teammate, Cole Raymond's 20th quickest right now. 7:06. He's hoping he's a little bit faster than that because that's not looking good for Cole Raymond to clinch his spot in the Indy 250 here today. But the 24th driver to head out onto the racetrack here for Indy 250 qualifications. Reggie Fogleman looking to put that 24 Hardy's machine in the show. Coming across the line, he's going to hit 220 before he crosses the line. He's going to max out at 222, just a little bit right there. This is looking like Colin Cropley's time right there. In the 35, this could be a very close time to that 35 machine, minimizing at 208 off the exit of turn 2. So Fogleman going to be his first ever Indianapolis 250 if he qualifies, which is looking pretty good for him to do so. 218 in the turn number 3 for the driver of the number 24. And if he minimizes at 210 here off the corner, I think he should be pretty good to go. It'll be close. I think this might be a fast 9 time. It might put Cropley and Olvera down a couple of positions. It might be right in between Lewis and Cropley. 41.530. It's just below Colin Cropley. 8th quickest for Reggie Fogleman. It might not be fast enough to go for the pole tomorrow, but he'll be in the show for this year's Indianapolis 250. 25th driver in line, Jay Knapp in the 81. It's been a tough season for him here in the Haas IndyCar Series. Started off excellent at Auto Club, but since then he's not been anywhere near the front. But looking to avoid the misfortunes of his father 3 years ago when Micah Knapp failed to qualify for this race in 2019. The first time he did single car qualifying. So, hoping it does not run through the bloodline of this Knapp family right here. But the 81 of Jay Knapp looking to get this thing done and put that 81 in the show for the Indianapolis 250. I think that in of itself would be plenty good enough for Jay Knapp here, considering the season that he has had. Coming across the line, he's going to cross the line to 19. He's going to hit 221, but he's going to hold it for a little while. This is going to be a little bit slower than some of the other times that we have seen so far. But it's going to probably be good enough to avoid the last 9. It's going to be right down the middle there. I'm looking around Calib Rose, Thomas Troxell lap time right there, which should be good enough to make it onto the show. But like I said, for Jay Knapp, that's all that he needs. It's been a tough season for this 81 team, and to make this race is going to be huge. And have an opportunity, just a chance at winning this Indy 250 So all this team needs, he will not minimize at 209. He'll hit 210 off the exit of the corner. So this should be good enough to at least avoid the last 9. 41.637. I was right in between Calib Rose and Thomas Troxell there in the 15th position. And J-Nap has officially qualified for the Indianapolis 250. Chris Reynolds in the number 50 looking to qualify for his first ever Indianapolis 250. Of course, it's going to be his first attempt as well, driving for Tracoan Racing Enterprises. Calib Rose, I will like to mention, will be in this year's Indy 250. He's already 14th, but the other Tracoan car, Roy Ribbleton, has yet to clinch a spot. Same goes for Noah Clifton. Noah Clifton is right now just below the line as it stands, but if one driver goes below Clifton, Clifton will clinch a spot in the Indianapolis 250. I said that Troxell-Clifton tiebreaker was not going to be at the last 9. If everyone goes faster, it will be. But there's a good chance someone may go slower, and it may just be Chris Reynolds. He was 218 across the line. This is not good for Reynolds, but this is good for everybody else, especially Zajdel, Anderson, Faden, those guys who are kind of sitting on the hypothetical bubble right now. Ooh, 206 off the exit. Not looking good for Chris Reynolds in the number 50. And it's been a while since we have seen a time this slow out of anyone so far, but it's looking like Chris Reynolds. This is on par with Monaco's time, I do believe. Maybe a bit faster, but it's not going to be much faster than Monaco's time. And more than likely, Chris Reynolds is going to be in the last 9 with this lap right here. Across the line, Reynolds going to go 41.801, just below Keith Kent right there. Not at all what you want this late in the session. Looks like Reynolds is going to have to fight another day tomorrow and avoid elimination in the last 9 tomorrow here in Indianapolis. 27th driver out. This is Igor Barretta looking to start his 5th Indianapolis 250. Driving for NS Racing. They had one fast guy, they had one slow guy. Elijah Gordon, 5th quickest. Richard Kinghart, 23rd. Not looking good for Kinghart. Igor Barreto hopes to be better than Kinghart here and lock his spot into the Indianapolis 250 for 2022. His best finish in this race, even though he's been in it 4 times, is 15th. It's back in 2020. So Barreto looking to definitely improve off of that. Across the line, Barreto's going to be 219. I don't know, this might be a bit slower here. This is going to be one right on the bubble, I think, once we get to it. 211 off the corner there for Igor Barreto. And off the exit of turn number 2, it is 207. So he didn't hit 206 like Reynolds did. This is probably going to be a faster time than what Reynolds ended up posting. But it's not going to be a fast 9 time, that's for sure. We'll have to see where Barreto clocks in. He was 210 for quite a while there off the exit of 3. And he's going to hit 209 for an extended amount of time off the exit of turn number 4 right here. So this is not going to be a fast time. I'm looking maybe right around Kinghart's time there. It's a 41.727. It's right above Kinghart, so that's good for Anderson and Zajdel once again, but not good for Barreto. I don't know if he's going to be able to make it in. Next time we have a driver on the racetrack, we will be pushing drivers below that red line, and Monaco has been the slowest guy this entire day. We'll have to see if he gets pushed out here. The next guy, Brandon Nelson, going out onto the racetrack. Brandon Nelson next in line. 9 drivers left to go. The last quarter of these drivers here attempting the Indianapolis 250. And Eric Monaco, he's not been looking good for Monaco all day. He's about to get pushed out and have to go into that last 9 shootout tomorrow. But it's looking good for Gary Carelli, who's looking to clinch his spot into the Fast 9 and go for the pole tomorrow in that number 21 machine. But Brandon Nelson looking to start his 3rd Indianapolis 250. But best finish of 11th in 2020 when he was in this race as an Indy 250 only driver. Hit 220 there for a little while entering the corner. Just barely tapped 211 off the exit of turn number 1. He is going to barely tap 207 there. This is a close one. I'm looking around Roy Ribbleton here for Brandon Nelson, which would be enough to advance his way on. Roy Ribbleton, by the way, has clinched a spot in the Indy 250. Nathan Faden the next one to clinch if someone goes slower than him. But Nelson here for Collins Racing. 209, just barely tapped 209 right there. It's going to be a tight one here. This might be below Anderson and Zajdel. I just don't quite know. 41.686. It's right in between Max Anderson and Justin Zajdel. So that is right on the bubble. That's good news for Anderson, as he's going to be the next one to merge in to clinch his spot if a guy goes slower than him. But Nathan Faden has clinched a spot in the Indy 250. And Eric Monaco will have to go to the last 9 shootout tomorrow here for Indianapolis. Here comes third in points this season, Trey Smith, looking for his second Indianapolis 250 start. He was in this race a year ago, and he ended up finishing in the 9th position. No. Yes. Yeah, he finished 9th. I'm losing track of my spreadsheet there. Couldn't tell whose was whose there. But he finished 9th last year. So top 10 in this Indy 250 a year ago. Has already won a race this season in the Haas IndyCar Series at Riverside. And like I mentioned, third in points coming into this event. And hey, you know, the top 10 qualifiers for this race will receive championship points. So Trey Smith, if he wins the pole, that's 10 more points he can put on Fitzwater, assuming Fitzwater doesn't also get up there. 219 across the line. I don't think it's going to be fast 9 for Trey Smith, though. Barely hit 221 entering the corner. And a lot of these guys are starting to slow down. Quite a few of these guys slowing down here late in the session. 207, he actually hit 206 off the corner. It definitely would be something if Trey Smith, third in points, failed to qualify for this race. But maybe a last 9 shootout for Trey Smith tomorrow, the way it's looking. 210 for quite a while off the exit of the corner here. Chris Reynolds about to be knocked off. And John Anders about to be clinched into the fast 9. Trey Smith across the line, 41.755. Just above Richard Kinghart. Max Anderson is in the Indianapolis 250 for 2022. Chris Reynolds is officially in the last 9 shootout. And Trey Smith is going to have a lot to have to go his way if he's going to avoid the last 9 shootout. Not a good time there for Trey Smith. Those Ryan Durrani cars, I mean, Max Anderson was the fastest one. He's the only one to clinch so far of those 3 cars. Scott Upton, the next driver in line. They won the pole at California the last time we did any single car qualifying in the series. We'll have to see what they can do here around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Brandon Nelson is the next driver to clinch a spot in if somebody goes slower than him. And that's Scott Upton's teammate. So we saw it happen. An odd twist of fate right there when the number 41 of Trey Smith bumped his Indy 250 only teammate of Max Anderson into the show by going slower than him. It's looking like both the Ryan Durrani full-time cars are going to be in the last 9. Scott Upton, on the other hand, looking pretty fast off the exit of turn 4. And they're going to go across the line 220. They're going to hit 221. Oh, this is looking good. 223. That's the first time we've seen that, I do believe, since Gary Carelli earlier on in the session. Scott Upton really solid in these single-car runs, and they are looking to go into the Fast 9 and go for the pole here in the Indianapolis 250. That'd be 10 points towards the championship for Scott Upton, and I know they will definitely be appreciative of that. 212 as a minimum off of turn number 2. This could just be the fastest time so far of the day. 211 as a minimum. We have yet to see that, I do believe. And across the line, Scott Upton with a 41.389. 3 1,000ths off of Gary Carelli. But Scott Upton will be in the Fast 9 shootout tomorrow, going for the Indianapolis 250 pole. Next driver in line, last of 2 more Indy 250 only drivers left to go here in the single car qualifying session. This is Joey Hightower, whose one past start in this race all the way back in 2018 was a second place runner-up to, guess who? Nicholas Samadillo, who is still yet to go in this session. Still got Fitzwater, the points leader, Samadillo and Jesse Turner left to go after Hightower. Brock Nelson in his first one, and Brendan Wilmington, who was the fastest in practice yesterday. So A lot of hard hitters coming up here in the final 6 drivers. Joey Hightower, ooh, I don't know, 219. He just barely hit 220 across the line. This should be good enough. He did hit 222. Should be good enough to make it into the show. Won't be a fast 9 time, but it should be good enough to make it into the show, and that's all Hightower needs. Of course, Hightower would love to get 1 spot higher and get this Indianapolis 250 race victory. Almost had it in 2018, just could not beat Mr. Edge. But it does look like he will be starting in this year's Indianapolis 250 as he will avoid the last 9 shootout. All he needs to do to avoid the last 9 shootout at this point is beat a 41.686 set by Brandon Nelson. He is currently the next guy in line to clinch if somebody goes slower than him. But Hightower is not going to go slower than him across the line. 41.584. That is going to put Hightower outside the fast 9, but in between Landon Smith Jr. and Will Parrish. Bit of a gap there in the times right there. They'll put him 12th. He will be in the show for this year's Indianapolis 250 for Scuderia Roma and the number 14 team. Here we go for the first ever winner on the channel over 7 years ago. Still kicking it, but hasn't been the best of seasons in IndyCar for Jesse Turner here this year, but looking to rebound and make another start in this great race. It'll be Turner's 5th Indianapolis 250 if he qualifies his way in, of course. And Jesse Turner's best finish in this race, however, was a 9th place finish in 2020. So we'll have to see if he betters that this year. But first, you got to make your way into the show, and he has to beat a 686 held by Brandon Nelson to clinch a spot in right here and right now. Jesse Turner across the line. He will hit 220 before he crosses the outer brick, so it might not be a fast 9 time, but he was 222 for quite a while there, entering turn number 1. So this is looking pretty good for the first ever winner on the channel, Jesse Turner. His teammate Landon Smith Jr. is locked in at 11th place right now at a 5.55. Turner trying to make that a little bit better. Reggie Fogleman right on the bubble to make the fast 9 shoot at a 5.30. That's the mark to beat to go for the pole tomorrow at the moment. A good time here out of Jesse Turner in the number 38. He'll hit 210 for just a little bit. This is actually one of the faster times, I do believe. Really found some speed there. He may make the fast 9 right here with this one. 41.472. That is a fast 9 time, and I think Turner clinched it as well. So he will be going for the pole tomorrow in the Indianapolis 250. How about that for Jesse Turner in the number 38. Brock Nelson, next driver in line in the number 17. His brother may just be the one who benefits here, because Brandon Nelson is still that next guy in line to clinch if somebody goes slower than him. But if everyone goes faster than Brandon Nelson, Brandon Nelson is going to have to run in the last 9 shootout. Trey Smith, Richard Kinghart just got bumped to that last 9. The bump for the last 9 at the moment is 7.27. And the bump for the fast 9 is 5.23. So we'll have to see what Brock Nelson can do. Is 2.19 across the line, 2.21. It's not going to be a fast 9 time here for Brock Nelson. But it may still be faster than his brother. And if he's faster than his brother, he's going to be in the Indianapolis 250. 2.07 off the exit. We'll have to see what Brock Nelson can do here in the number 17, the newly rebranded number 17. Teammates there with Zack Winkle, the new Flow Motorsports, new administration for this team. Of course, they keep their points, but they're jumping into this big race with an entirely different organization now, and it's going to be interesting to see how they adjust. Brock Nelson did hit 209 off the exit of the corner. We're going to have to see. Will it be Brock Nelson or Brandon Nelson? It's going to be Brandon Nelson, 7.40, and Brock Nelson will have to go to the last 9 with that. So Brandon Nelson is in the Indy 250, but it comes at the expense of his brother. We'll have to see if Brock Nelson can make it in tomorrow, but he will have to go to the last 9 in tomorrow's last 9 shootout. Here we go, the big man himself, Nicholas Samadeo, 2-time Indianapolis 250 champion, looking to do it for a 3rd time. And hey, the last 2 times he did it was on the last 2 even years, 2018, 2020, 2022. Maybe there's a pattern there, but he's got to beat a 7.27 at this moment to avoid the last 9. And to officially clinch, he needs to beat a 6.89. Zajdel in line to make it into the Indy 250 if somebody goes slower than him right here. Brock Nelson there just barely missed out. Igor Barreto on the bubble right now to get pushed into the last 9. Nicholas Samadillo, he's going to cross the line, 2:20. This isn't going to be one of the faster times, but he will hit 2:22 for a little bit, and it should be enough to make it into the show. So, we've seen Samadillo go for the pole a couple of times, but I don't think he's going to do it this year. He will not hit 2:07 there off the exit of turn number 2, which is a good sign. And I think he will hit 2:18 here, just barely before he heads in the turn number 3. It's going to be right down the middle here, but Samadillo will be in the show this year for the Indianapolis 250. I'm looking probably around Logan Williams, Calib Rose right here for the driver of the number 31. But we'll have to see. Been a while since we've seen those times. Across the line, 41.549. That'll be 12th quickest right there for Nicholas Samadillo. Won't be in the Fast 9, but he's going to be in the first half of the field starting for this year's Indianapolis 250. That's going to push Igor Barreto out. And that's going to keep Colin Cropley in the Fast 9. 2 drivers left, Zachary Fitzwater and Brendan Wilmington. Here he is. All-time winningest driver on the channel with 26 career wins. He's hoping to make that 27 next Saturday in the Indy 250. The points leader in the Haas IndyCar Series. He's already won 3 times this year. He's got to make it into the show. Zachary Fitzwater here for North State Racing. He has to beat a 6.89 to clinch a spot into the big race. And if he wants to go for the pole at this moment, he has to beat a 5.23. Colin Cropley's hoping that both Fitzwater and Wilmington are slower than him. But Fitzwater here, we'll have to see what he does. And then number 66 across the line. Fitzwater is going to be 2:20, 2:21, 2:22. Boy, he held it for a while there. This might knock out Colin Cropley. Minimum of 2:12 off the exit of turn 1, off the exit of turn 2. Minimum of 2:08 for just a little bit right there. Of course, that is the slowest corner on the racetrack for these guys. Not looking good for Cole Raymond. Cole Raymond's going to be bumped below the line. Zajdel is going to be right on that bubble there with the last driver, Brendan Wilmington. 2:11 there off the exit of turn number 3. 2:10, just barely. This is going to be a Fast 9 time for our points leader, Zachary Fitzwater. Across the line, 41.533. Oh no, that's 11th quickest. I thought he had it, he did not, but Fitzwater is still in the show either way. And he will be starting next to Reggie Fogleman, assuming Brendan Wilmington does not split the 24 and the 66. 1 driver left, it's Brendan Wilmington. Will it be Wilmington or Zajdel making it into that last slot for the last 9? Cole Raymond will have to go to that last 9 in tomorrow's session. Well, it all comes down to this. The last driver to qualify here for the Indianapolis 250. The fastest driver in practice yesterday, Brendan Wilmington. To make it into the Fast 9, he needs to beat a 5.23 to clinch a spot into the Indianapolis 250. He needs to beat a 6.89. Justin Zajdel, I have a feeling he was on the bubble on the last driver last year as well. That's got to be tough for Justin Zajdel. No doubt about it, but we'll have to see. It's either going to be Brendan Wilmington or Justin Zajdel joining Cole Raymond, Igor Barreto, Brock Nelson, Trey Smith, Richard Kinghart, Keith Kent, Chris Reynolds, and Eric Monaco. Those 8 drivers will have to go again tomorrow to avoid elimination. Of course, in that last 9 shootout, the top 6 advance onto the race, and the slowest 3 do not qualify for the Indianapolis 250. And, of course, the Fast 9, we know for a fact that Ethan Lewis will be in the Fast 9. Will it be Colin Cropley or Brendan Wilmington here? That's the big question. Gary Carelli, Scott Upton, John Andrews, Zack Winkle, Jesse Turner, Ace Garcia, Elijah Gordon, and Ethan Lewis. It's so amazing. I mean, outside of maybe Gary Carelli, it's so amazing how the experience seems to always go in favor of the guys. He make the Fast 9, and the last 9 guys, you know, it's all over the place there, but a little bit less experience. I mean, there's a lot of experience down there as well, but John Andrews, Jesse Turner, Ace Garcia, Elijah Gordon, You know, they've been in many of these races, and Ethan Lewis is the defending champion of the Indianapolis 250, going to be going for the pole tomorrow. But we'll have to see where Brendan Wilmington slots in and all of that. Will he clinch a spot? Will he have to go to the last 9? Will he have to go to the fast 9? We really don't know. This is Wilmington's only attempt to start this year. We'll have to see what he can do in the car that won the championship 2 years ago. Thank you all so much for watching here today. It's single car qualifying. And tomorrow we get to do it all over again with the last 9 shootout and the fast 9 shootout. We'll go over who's going to be in that officially once we're done here with Brendan Wilmington and the number 79. So Wilmington runner-up last year in the Freedom 50. So a lot of experience there. Of course, that was only a 20-lap race, but he did an excellent job and he cut his way through the field very well to get that second place finish. And I'm pretty sure he's going to be in the show. 220 across the line, 222 for a while. The big question is, will he have enough speed to beat Colin Cropley for the Fast 9? So Justin Zajdel is more than likely going to have to go again in the last 9 shootout. It's a tough break for Zajdel, but he's on the verge of not making the show for a second straight year. Wilmington was 218 for quite a while there. 211 off the corner. This is going to be similar to the Fitzwater's time, I feel like. I don't think it's going to beat the 523, but it might. 211 is a minimum, though, off the exit. Wilmington across the line. I think he may have it. 41.483. Brendan Wilmington's going to be going for the pole tomorrow. Colin Cropley will start 10th in the Indianapolis 250. How about that right at the end? Brendan Wilmington going to push his way into the Fast 9 and have a shot at the Indianapolis 250 pole. Let's go ahead. See, he'll be starting 10th through 27th and go over the Fast 9 and last 9 here for this year's Indianapolis 250. And that will do it for day number 1 of single car qualifications for the Indianapolis 250. Here's your Fast 9. Gary Carelli, all the way at the top of the day, grabbed the fastest time. He will be going for the pole. He'll be the last guy to go out in the Fast 9 shootout tomorrow. Going to be Gary Carelli, Scott Upton, John Andrews, Zack Winkle, Jesse Turner, Ace Garcia, Brendan Wilmington, Elijah Gordon, and Ethan Lewis. And every year, it is such a stout field going for this MD250 pole. But how about Gary Carelli? You know, amongst all those giants right there, that's going to be pretty big for Gary Carelli if he can beat all those guys and win this Indy 250 pole. But one of those 9 guys will be starting on the front row. Actually, 2 of those guys will be starting on the front row. One of those guys will be starting from the pole position tomorrow. Next week, I should say. They'll win it tomorrow in the Fast 9 shootout. Starting positions 10th through 27th. Go as follows. In row number 5 to the outside of whoever is slowest in the Fast 9 shootout will be Colin Cropley. Just barely missed out. He was in the Fast 9 the entire time. He got bumped out by Brendan Wilmington right at the end, but Colin Cropley will officially grab a point towards the championship even though he's not full-time. Reggie Fogleman and Zachary Fitzwater will make up row number 6. Angel Olvera and Nicholas Samedil will make up row number 7. Landon Smith Jr. and Joey Hightower will make up row number 8. Will Parrish and Brian Rodriguez will make up row number 9. Logan Williams and Calib Rose will make up row number 10. Jay Knapp and Thomas Troxell will make up row number 11. Noah Clifton and Roy Ribbleton will make up row number 12. Nathan Faden and Max Anderson will make up row number 13. And then starting on the inside in row number 14 will be Brandon Nelson. He will start alongside the fastest driver in the last 9 shootout. And then this is where it gets a little critical because 3 of these 9 drivers will fail to qualify for the Indianapolis 250. Justin Zajdel for a second straight year in the last 9 shootout. Cole Raymond, Igor Barreto, Brock Nelson, Trey Smith, Richard Kinghart, Keith Kent, Chris Reynolds, and Eric Monaco. A couple of big hitters right there, especially Zajdel and Monaco. Who have been in this series for quite a while. Richard Kinghart as well. And then Trey Smith, who comes into this race 3rd in the points standings. Could very well miss the Indianapolis 250. It's going to be interesting to see how it all goes down tomorrow at noon Eastern Time. Last 9 shootout, we go at it again. Slowest 3 DNQ, and then starting positions 28 through 33 will be determined And after that, it's the Fast 9 shootout for the pole here at Indianapolis. Thank you guys so much for watching here on this glorious Saturday afternoon. We'll see you guys tomorrow for the Fast 9, the last 9 shootouts to see how the official starting lineup for the 2022 Indianapolis 250 will go. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. We'll try and do better the next time. And congratulations to the 9 guys making it on to the Fast 9, and to those making it on to the last 9. They better be going fast tomorrow to avoid elimination. We'll have to see how it all goes down. Looking forward to see who wins the pole, and not really looking forward to see who gets eliminated, but hey, it's all part of the process, and we'll have to see who fails to qualify in this year's Indy 250. Thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I will see you guys later!